Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Lunch and Learn.
E is exhaling, having an opportunity to breathe, to rest, to refill yourself and rejuvenate yourself, because no one can pour from an empty cup.
As you evolve and become more of yourself, you begin to attract the people that are there for you.
Amen.
So everything you need is in this space.
You have to learn from your mistakes. Once you make a mistake, sit down, recoup, and then start over. And once you do that, you say, I got that.
The Juneteenth means to me, I would definitely say empowerment and education.
When I experienced it, like just coming together and, being a part of something bigger than myself, and
A new start, starting a new chapter, opportunity, new beginnings, all of that good stuff.
What's going on, Juneteenth family? Welcome to another weekly edition of the Lunch and Learn session. I am your host, and I'm bringing nothing but positive vibes and some great information today. My name is Kiara Green, aka M.B.A. Call it how you see it. Whatever you decide is fine with me. Oh, that's a rhyme. I like that. Today, I am excited to bring a special guest to the stage. Today, we are going to build your capacity to secure funding. Let me tell you who I'm telling you about. Okay, this person is named Monique Powell. Okay, Miss Monique Powell, it is with great pleasure to introduce her to y'all. She has an M.P.A, an M.B.A, okay, with a background in business management and dual master's degrees. She's a seasoned consultant focusing on capacity building for nonprofits and educational institutions. I'm telling you, this is bad. Born and raised in Nassau County, Long Island, she's passionate and an advocate for youth development, economic equality, and quality education. With over 10 plus years in education, Monique has held various roles, including high school teacher, director of operations, and consistently prioritizing inclusive learning environments. I'm telling you, she has so much to offer us. Beyond education, she has an extensive experience in nonprofit management, grant writing, program development, so much. Currently, she's the owner of the Business Garden, a consultant firm and that leads to Bring More Inc. And a nonprofit that's dedicated to the community development. She operates the Cloud Center, which is a daycare center in Roosevelt, New York. Please welcome me in joining Monique to the stage. Bring Monique up, please, 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 please. Monique, how are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Listen, thank you for being here. As I was reading your bio, I said, this is like me reading the ABC. She got the M.B.A, the M.P.A, it was very extensive. So I'm excited about what we are here to bring today. Before we jump into all of your business accomplishments and your qualifications, I want you to just share a little bit about yourself, your background, your upbringing, and how do we get to the Monique Powell that we have today?
Right. So I grew up in Hempstead, New York. A lot of adversity growing up. I woke up one day and realized I worked at Planned Parenthood, my first job.
Okay.
And my coworker, she was of a different race. We liked the same food, the same candy. We had things in common.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between her and I was zip codes. And what my zip code meant to me is that there weren't mansions, there wasn't a quality education.
Mm-hmm.
We were really alike. And that's when I realized that maybe my community or my upbringing or whatever it was just didn't give me the tools of success that I needed. And I needed to find out where that was. So I started looking. I thought the world looked exactly like my community everywhere we went. And then when I started to put myself in those places, as I worked for Planned Parenthood and doing workshops, I started realizing that people are the same. It's the resources and the information around them and the ability to network. From there, I decided to get education. I grew up at that point where education gets your foot in the door. So that M.B.A. and that M.P.A. was just 3 letters at one point, and then 6 that actually got my foot through the door where I could be heard and mentioned. And growing up African American, a woman in the industries that I've been in, you know, my pay is different. My title could be different as soon as my name and I'm being seen. And what that meant at first for me was that it was a struggle. I didn't know why I had to leave jobs. I thought it was something internally, but it was the people around me was very intimidated. I was a sponge. I was absorbing, and I knew that every step I took, every job, whether it was part-time, full-time, every class I failed, every school I got kicked out of, I gained something from it. And that's what built Monique to who she is now. People telling me no, being rejected, being pushed to the side. I was like, okay, I know I'm only going to last 90 days. Let me get the most out of this. And it's okay. It's okay that when I file my income taxes, I have 8 W-2s, right? But I had 8 jobs in 1 year.
It's okay.
What did I get? And that's the Monique that's here now. And that's why I have different experiences, because as I was growing up, and we don't understand government, business, education is always the top 3. So I wanted to gain experience in all 3 because that makes up your community.
Oh my God, so much value in that within itself and what you just dropped, because representation matters, right? And just going off of something that you said earlier with growing up and having friends from different communities and having friends that might have the same experiences as far as, you know, what you guys share, the commonalities that you share. But what's different is the opportunities that you have, right? So I've noticed in looking at your background, and I know youth development is a stronghold, you know, that's a major thing for you. And the extensive background in education, what, you know, I know that might have been motivation, but what continues to motivate you to go strong in those fields and to bring that representation and to be the face that they see, you know, as a teacher, as a principal, as how do you continue to hold that motivation? And
Inequality and disparities is out there. And I was once a child who did not have anything. And it wasn't because my family didn't love me. I didn't have those information and resources. So I thrive on giving my students, any child that comes my way, any parent with the information and resource, because that little ounce, that little ear listening can lead them. I mean, as a high school teacher, I protected every student. I was teaching them about doing business plans, you know, back in 2006 when I was a teacher, and I have a relationship with majority of every child that I taught now. And so that also lets me know that it results. So I'm a results person. So I have to have results. It has to be achievement in order for me to keep going. And I think that's what keeps me in this industry. Once I feel it, I realize that others are feeling it like me. And that's why I'm here today to share the information, because if I've been through it and I'm strong, I now know at 43 that I'm strong. It's because I dealt with it and I turned it. And now I'm ready to turnkey that to my community.
Oh my God, yes. And with the opportunity to share this information about, you know, sponsorships and grants and, you know, contracts, we may not be as far as we can be today because we didn't have this representation. You know, they weren't teaching us this in schools. So you taking that step early on in your career, it speaks volume, because just like you said, the relationships sustain over time, because you build a rapport with your students, that they trust you, that they know that they could come to you and learn from you, and they know that they could depend on, you know, the advice and the education that you provide for them. So for someone who is watching this who may not know the difference between sponsorships and grants, and even as an entrepreneur myself, I know when it comes to obtaining grants and filling out for grants, it's like I could be the best writer in the world, but if I don't know the specific tactics that needs to be used in grant writing, how do I convert that to actually, you know, getting this grant? How do I learn about these things? So can you kind of break that down of the difference between sponsorships and grants, and the tactics of writing grants, and how do you get these grants?
Sure. So I know there's a lot out there because information is so good thanks to social media. But I would say one thing: there are different types of grants. There's a different type of eligibility for grants, and there's even something called pre-qualified for grants, right? And I get calls all the time. I have a business. Can I get a grant? And I'll say this: majority of the grants are for nonprofits.
Mhm.
And that's why. If you want a big grant, if you want to secure big funding,
Yeah.
right? If the numbers are there, and I'll give the places where this is at. Majority of the funds from the government, who provides contracts and funding, are for nonprofits because they're there to enhance and get rid of the disparities that I mentioned, right? The government knows what's there. So they're
Mhm.
saying, we want someone to do this work. And you have to then say, I'm the one that's going to do this work. Now,
Yeah.
how do you get to say I'm the one that's going to do the work? Let's start with nonprofits. Is you have to be in the community that you want to do work. And you're like, how do I say that? Well, where do you live? What information do you know? I'm from Hempstead. Hempstead, the school districts, the demographics, it's one of those areas. So I know about it because I'm from it. So you're telling the government, I understand the community. I am the community. I'm here to do well. I know the numbers. And this is what I'm going to do. And that's really what grants are saying. What are you going to put in? They call it something called a theory of change. What are you changing? Are you changing thoughts, mind, or behaviors? Because they already know the systematic that changes that need to happen. They
Yeah.
just want somebody else to do it. So you have a nonprofit and you want to apply for these fundings, you can go on grants.gov and don't get overwhelmed because you're putting
Mhm.
yourself up against organizations that have it together. How do you build that capacity? Easy. When you have an idea of what you want to do for the community, if you have that feeling here and here, put it in writing. Start a nonprofit today. The paperwork is easy. You can contact me or anyone on my team or my network to help. Start it today. Do you need to operate right now? No, but you're saying, hey, I am here. This is what I'm going to do. You know what that does? That gives you history. I
Yeah.
started my nonprofit in 2014. I think I was pregnant and I wanted to change. I was in a slump myself and I wanted to change. So that 2015 nonprofit has been existing on paperwork ever since then. I
Mm.
determine the activity. So that gives you that. And then you build based on the community that you're in and you learn about that community that you're in and you document. Now, when I'm consulting, I see that these nonprofits, the difference is documentation.
Got it.
Right? We have Google Drive, create a folder with your articles of incorporation, create a folder with your EIN, create a
Mhm.
folder with your mission statement. Sometimes I drive and I dictate notes and I add it to a folder, but
Yeah.
don't wait till the last minute to actually put it on paper. So that's very important. And what are you going to do? Now, I always tell people, please think big. And I'll give you an example. Nike has plenty of products and services. So when you're in a nonprofit and you want to help youth, please just don't put youth in your name. You know why? Because if a grant comes up saying you need to feed the youth, that's different. That's hunger. That's food. Now, how do you build that? Is saying, I'm just going to have a nonprofit, and that's my title and my name, but I'm going to do different types of work. That way, you are curtailing your nonprofit based on the grants that's coming out. Because every year, every disaster, there's always something different. And you
Mhm.
can stay true to what you're doing, but now you're feeding the youth. Because I have a client that started a nonprofit for shoes, and they put shoes in the name. And funders are looking at that. Okay, well, we're not offering money for shoes, but we're
Mm.
offering money for youth. We're offering money for seniors, and you can provide shoes. So that's something about thinking big, right? Being broad, and then changing the mentality of I'm only providing shoes. I'm only looking for grants for shoes. You're doing the work. It's philanthropy. And I think that is very important to know. How can you then take what you want to do and translate it to get a grant? Now, grant writing is just like a business plan. So I encourage everyone to look online, pull out one grant, look
Yeah.
at it. It's just asking you for paperwork, what you want to do, how you're going to do it. They give you the budget, they
Mhm.
give you the requirements, and you just need to create that and reply back to that grant and say, I'm the one to do it. Now, one of the main things about getting funding is experience. And this is where I always tell people experience is you, the head, the lead person. What are you doing? If you've done something small, document it. If you've done something big, document it. It follows your organization. Experience is how long your nonprofit been open? Have you done anything in the community? Have you networked? Have you done some free work for your nonprofit? And I think these things are important for you to document because that is part of the grants where they want to know, hey, just like a bank loan, we're giving you a lot of funds and we're trusting you. On paper, do you look like you can provide the work? And I think that, so a nonprofit that doesn't have their paperwork in order cannot go against the big nonprofit who has a grant writer, who has a finance director. So you have to play all these roles, but playing these roles just means having it all together.
Mm. So I'm sitting over here and I'm like, girl, listen, you are preaching to the choir because in instances where people may have been doing the work, right? They've been working in the community, they've been, putting on community affairs events, but without the documentation, does that count still, or is it too late to like document it after the fact, or is it something that can
It's
be done?
never too late. I am the chief of my nonprofit. So everything I do, which is why my Instagram is public, everything aligns back to me because it's everything that I do and anybody associated to me. And it's not bragging, it's adding on, it's what we call linear and lateral and building your portfolio. Right. So everything that I do goes back to, I built a brand. To bring more is literally my sister name, my daughter name, and my name. TBM, Taisha, Brooke, Monique. And one day I just woke up and said, that's my brand. Right. And then now it went from, we were only experiencing doing youth, but now we bring more opportunities to the whole community. We received the Amazon grant for coding. And my next thing is be innovative. Tap into, we all know what the end look like. If not, I'm here to tell you. I've worked for a charter school, $5 million budget. I worked for a early childhood learning center, $2 million budget. I worked for a government with a budget. And the only difference is that they build their capacity to sustain it. So not one product, not one service, but multiple things is bringing that in. So let's go to the business side of it now. We did a little bit about the nonprofit. For businesses, I recommend anybody who owns a business, start a nonprofit as well. It's still under you, right? Can't be the same name, different nonprofits, similar to what you're doing in a business. Big corporations talks about business sustainability. Yeah, because they are $1 million, $1 billion businesses. They have to give back and build that sustainability to the community, right? It's their right, their duty, right? And then they provide grants. But for us, right, building and creating another nonprofit to do some of the things that you may have a price for a certain target market, but then can do it for low income, those who have the disparity. So you're saying the same thing. And what that does is that creates grants and funding for the nonprofit that also helps your for-profit. What's the difference between the two? For-profit, any money left over, yeah, you can put it in your pocket. You can do whatever you want as long as you pay taxes on it. The nonprofit, you can't put that money. You have to build it back into the organization. Okay, that's great. So when I'm not working at my for-profit, my nonprofit is giving me a salary to do the same work, but do it for a demographic that needs it.
Yeah. Key. Oh my God. The comments are going crazy. I want to jump into some of these comments because we have Rashida. She says, I want to help build up low income communities in my city. And it bothers me when they push or Black people, I guess, push Black people or gentrify the neighborhoods. But how do we educate on the ownership?
Yes.
I think that's a great question.
And you think that the government doesn't know that this exists? So I also used to work for the United States Census, and I did it. I didn't do it to gain money. I gained it to gain insight of what's going on.
Yes.
Numbers are important, and I encourage our community and culture to participate in the census because you know what that does? That tells the government our numbers and our demographics. This is not personal. This is not emotional. Like my favorite rapper says, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. So what the census did, it provided income, right? It provided information about education.
Yes.
It brought it down to census tracts. So now the government knows what area needs the most help. That's where the grants come from. So ownership, they know who owns the houses the most. They know who don't. They know who lack communication. And they're saying, we're not going to do it. They're saying, we want you to do it. So for Rashida, it's yes. If you go on HUD and you look, there's tons of grants. It's called self-help home ownership. And you go on there and they say, we want a nonprofit to teach to their community because you are the stakeholders in your community. You're saying you want to do it. We're going to give you funding to teach that, to teach home ownership. And then when I say think big, I also want you to think with teachers, what we say as teachers is called backwards design, right? It's called going backwards. So thinking big, but also breaking that down. So home ownership could be getting your finances in order. Home ownership can be understanding credit. So it might not just be going straight to buying the house.
Right.
It can be, what are the skills and the information that you need? And that's what your business or your nonprofit can do. One class a day, a week, one class a month is still giving back to that community. Someone asked about the census information. You can go to census, you can look it up. And this information is required on grants. They're asking you to make sure you know the demographics. So every area, whether I'm in a business or I'm in my nonprofit, and again, building sustainability, I am thinking about where I'm going. Business, it's called R&D in business, research and development. So I've worked in the corporations. I worked everywhere. I've studied business. Research and development is understanding your target market, understanding the demographics that you're in. So I put a daycare in Roosevelt, New York for a reason. Because I made enough money to go outside of my zip code for my child to get a good education, but that wasn't my culture or my community. So I researched where I can put a daycare that I was the head of, meaning my consistency of life of who I've been, always been for youth. So people are going to follow me as the leader of it. They understand my vision. It is unheard. It is unquestioned how I feel about kids. I have that. So I looked up Roosevelt, the demographics, and I knew I couldn't charge $500 a week. How dare I charge $500 a week? So what I did was I was the lowest on the market. I did the lowest. When COVID came back, you can ask around. I only charged $200 because I believe in quantity.
Yes.
Right. So therefore, although I charged only $200, I didn't make money the first year, still didn't. But I did the bait where I got people in to see how good I was. And I kept on increasing the salary as the economy changed. What told me the economy was changing? The census numbers. Right? What told me the economy had changed? Where the businesses, where the government tells me there was grants. I received a grant for offering remote learning spaces when COVID happened.
Key.
Building it out, right? I know I'm talking fast. I'm so sorry, but yes, understanding so being that I was in Roosevelt, I knew the demographics. I knew grants was going to come to Roosevelt. That's the community that I'm in. So that will supplement my lower tuition rate because I would receive funding because I'm in that area. They know that area needs, but they also know that area needs quality education. I also partner with other daycares. We're not in a competition here. We're not in competition. No, schools are never in competition. Never. So I partner with them. We work together. And I think that's what's really important. Building that sustainability of saying, hey, this is the area that I'm in. I know that it needs help. I'm not the only one that thinks they need help. How selfish of me. The world knows that this area needs help because we all want to do good. And I think that's important. So I know I go everywhere with it. So I'll take a step back and go back to the businesses. So another thing is if one product or service doesn't sustain a business, right? You must partner with others.
Yes.
I believe in a barter system. If you don't know what barter system is, you can look it up.
Yes.
So I'll say, hey, I need you to wash my window, but I'm going to talk to the other daycares and see if you can wash their windows. And if they say yes, then I want a discount, right? I'm bartering. I'm offering services with my consulting business. I will help you start your business. And when you get up and running, this is going to be free work, but I need you to do a flyer for a business that I'm helping out right now. That's bartering. That's building you. And I'm bringing, people together.
Building community at the same time.
Yes, it must take a community. So as a business, think about what you're offering as a product or service, right? What is a complimentary service you can provide, right? What can you do to add? So another thing that business can do is tap into their local government. They offer contracts left and right. So locally, there's a vendor page for Nassau County, Suffolk County, for those who are in Long Island. The city has a vendor page. They have Passport for nonprofits. New York has New York Contractors Report. and you can actually gain contracts. Sorry, I'm hot. You can actually gain
You
contracts.
give
I'm passionate, right?
you
I'm like,
giving us this
I can't believe it, and I'm nervous.
You're
I'm
not
nervous
taking
too.
notes right now. I don't tell you. I'm over here and I'm like, well, I can't wait to play this back because I have so many notes to jot down.
Yeah.
Because you are really giving us valuable information, and I don't even want to stop you, but I just want to throw something in so that you can continue. But as I see in the chat, everybody is talking about, you know, building sustainability and aligning the resources that we need and how it all comes together. I love that you're breaking it down in the sense that we can understand that. Okay, cool. I have this business now. I build a nonprofit under this business now. It's kind of full circle in the way that you're describing it, and it makes sense and just giving it to us where we can understand it, how we can understand it. And I want to ask that as your role as a consultant, right? And you're integrating youth development, you're integrating economic equality and quality education, and, you know, just bringing these organizations together. I love the breakdown and to build more. Like, that's super fire, because now you bring in your personal life. Okay, I'm doing this not only for me but for my kids as well. How do you continue to use these key strategies to create and kind of build an inclusive, like, learning space, and not only just in your community, or, you know, in Roosevelt, and you have Queens, you have Brooklyn, you have like, how do you do all of that?
You know, I grew up with everybody telling me no, and then I'm just like, no, you're not going to tell me no. So I think the world is mine. I think that there's so many opportunities, and if you take a no and you stop there, and I think so. As a teacher, I always say inquiry, right? I'm always curious. I always want to know, well, why did you tell me no? Is it something you're hiding? Is it something I can find for myself? You know, so I think always inquiring. I think big. I'm visionary, and then I make it happen. So I'm an executioner as well. So I did like a management leadership test in one of my employments, and I realized I was bigger than them at that point, right? When I'm achievement driven, you know, I always want to know processes, systems. That's very important. And that's before YouTube was available. That's before documentaries. You know, that's before people was like telling their story. I wanted to know, and I think the reason why I'm in youth development, because I fell into youth development because I had a job and it worked well. I am my brand. Another thing is the characteristics of the leader. You can only build sustainability if it's in you. My staff can't build the sustainability. That's why I'm here. I'm ahead. And I come in and I say, well, you know, you're making this decision, but you're one person. I'm running a daycare, a nonprofit. I'm thinking big. And I think that's important for people to really, really think big. If, for example, I see someone says someone has like a gym and the gym is not moving, right? Offer some youth programs for free, right? Tap into health and fitness. So there was I opened my daycare when COVID happened. I couldn't get a licensor to come in the building. I couldn't get anything happening, but I had a beautiful building. You know what I did? I did events because people wanted to touch people. They wanted to be out. I wasn't listed as a catering hall, so I wasn't part of the shutdown of events. And I did something called a Friendsgiving in my building that was supposed to be a daycare. Now, people thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy. It got to a point where Monday through Friday, I had about 15 kids in the building. Saturday and Sunday, I'm renting the building out to have events. I'm doing the table. I'm doing Friendsgiving. I'm only charging people $800 for 4 hours. One time I had 4 or 5 events in one night, making more money than I possibly can to keep the doors open. So so what I do, I always think big. I always leave myself open for opportunities to do anything different. I study it, I research it, and I say, can I do it? Can you decorate tables? I sure can. Can you do it? Yeah, and I'm not even an event planner, but I did it. I made money from it, and it kept the building open. So you can't tell me no. You can't tell me no, and I make myself marketable for anything that comes in the way. So with my daycare, I converted a 99-cent store to a daycare. That was an event plan in place. Now it's a full-blown daycare, and I don't regret nothing of it, but I thought big and I opened up. I listened to the government. I listened to the environment, what's happening, and I adjust for that. You don't have to go away from your vision, but if you add value to it, it's important. One of the best books I ever read by James Collins, is Good to Great. How do you go from good to great? How do you take what you have and go great? So for the strong people out there, how do you go from being that one decision of just breaking down to keep going? What is it in you to keep going? That's how you build that sustainability. That's how you do it.
But before I get into my next question, since you're talking about and you're giving so much game to all of our business owners and just anybody who has a dream, think big. You know what I'm saying? Like it's go hard or go home. And I always emphasize that, you know, if you can put time and effort into making somebody else's goal, you know, work, you going to work every day, you putting your time and your effort into somebody else's dream, you can give yourself that overflow of push and effort. And speaking of business, all my vendors out there, let me just do a little segue real quick. All of the vendors out there, we have something for you, okay? Juneteenth is right around the corner, and we have an opportunity for you to join us for the vendors information session, which will take place January 31st at 7 p.m. Okay. And this is your chance to learn more about the 15th annual Juneteenth celebration. It is June 14th to the 16th. When I tell you this is something that you don't want to miss, this is something that you absolutely want to be at. We're offering fantastic perks. We have benefits for the vendors. And this is your chance to focus on your business, focus on you, and focus on thinking big. Okay. If you need a payment plan, we have payment plans available. And we have just things to enhance your business all the way around. So don't wait any longer. Jump on this session January 31st at 7 p.m. and definitely tap in with us for Juneteenth. And that is, again, June 14th to the 16th. Okay. You can go to our website and check it out, how you can become a vendor. And, you know, just go to our Instagram and check out how you can tap into this session. But jumping back into you, Monique, I wanted you dropped so much just now.
I know.
And it came to my head that to whom much is given, much is required, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm listening to you talk about your, like, I'm thinking, okay, I have this, and sometimes I feel an overload. I feel, you know, like, okay, today I just can't do it. I can't. How do you manage a multitude of businesses? How do you know, you have the business garden, you have the cloud center to bring more, you're a mom, you know, you have your personal life. How do you replenish your energy? How do you manage to keep these things going? And how do you correct yourself when you feel, you know, I didn't give my best to that I might have gave, you know, I was a little weak today with this. How do you operate between, you know, your responsibilities just as Monique?
Yeah, I think I'm on autopilot. I think that I always want better for myself and for anybody around me. So, and I now know my gift is to make that happen. So I'm the one that's researching. I learned, I was self-taught how to write a grant. And I'm the one that you give me something, I'm going to figure it out the smartest way ever. So that doesn't mean, and the fastest way ever. So that doesn't mean that I'm reading, you know, I've always loved business. I am a process and system person, right? And results. So that means I know there's a will, there's a way, right? So before AI was here, I was figuring out, I was reading other people's grants. I was dissecting it with a grant. And I'm encouraging everybody, please don't be scared of a grant. Print out any grant and you look at it, they have the same components moving forward. Like, so you learn the components, build your business or your nonprofit to the grant. It's all about perception. There's a person behind it that's reading it, a person. Imagine that a person is reading it, and it could be one line, it could be your passion or who you are that you write on this grant that gets you the award. And that's what it is. You are convincing someone that you can do it. Similar that you convinced the bank to give you a car, similar that you're convincing your landlord to give you that house for rent, the place to rent. Anything it's all about perception. And how do you make your business organization look as if that of Nike, of anybody? And like I was saying before, we know what success looks like, being innovative and taking that leap. I grew up when iPhones came out. I grew up when the iPod came out. Right? If you look at when someone is innovative and they take their time and they do that, you've seen the results.
Yes.
Why not invest in what you're doing to do the same? And I think that's really what's important. Right now, I'm thinking about what's next. I'm researching who has money, where's the areas that I can do my programs in for free, because it's going to come back. It's going to come back to me, and everything that I give out to the universe and to the world, I'm blessed, to give it back. And I think that's what's really, really important. Go online to New York Contractors Report and create an account there. Look at all the New York State government entities that are looking for contractors, and you could be a contractor. Go on Passport. All you're doing is signing up for it and getting the alerts. And I think that's important. And then take it and build your business or your nonprofit. And I think that's what's important. When I worked for a government agency, that's what I did for them. I built programs. I created a budget. That's a whole nother conversation, right? Because you got to know what it is to work. I created a business with $10,000 saved. So that 10,000 became a daycare that's still there. And guess what happened? Just because I had this business just sitting there was a disaster that made my area eligible for, that we all had, whether it was the EIDL or PPP, right? And I used that to do my business. And it's all on there on the memes, right? Like while y'all was traveling, I was spending the money, on my business suffering. I mean, I sold my car one time. I was taking Ubers. I mean, my employees.
Sacrifice.
Another thing I did was I bought a house with NACA. And no one could believe that I bought a house with NACA. And I'm like, yeah, because they're not looking at my credit score as I'm spending money in the business, right? They use my business income, whether I was making a profit or not, to add on to my salary. Perception, what you look like on paper. So my great grandmother, God bless her, telling me to keep my money in the mattress. That's not building sustainability. That's not building sustainability. It's building your mind, and for you to know that you have it. How do you convince the government or anybody you need money from that you have what it takes on paper? So your business transactions need to be in a bank statement. You need to have those bank statements ready. You need to have, whether it's a credit union, anything. Building sustainability is what you look like on paper. If I take your business profile, do you have finances? Do you have a budget? Do you have a team? You don't have to pay your team. I can call 10 of my ex-employees right now that work for someone else and say, I'm moving forward with this. Are you part of my team? And they're like, yes. Send me your resume. You're now my staff member. Building sustainability up against the big ones is just having everything in order. Vision, mission, budget, financing, staffing, the will to do it, and a process. And that is it. That's it.
Key right there.
And then you sustain it, because sustain means to maintain a certain rate, right? To maintain it is how do you maintain that? So once you got it good, you don't stop there. No one stops, right? No, Amazon didn't stop there. And everybody's like, oh my God, because once they got to this point, they sustained it by doing other things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important to know. And it starts with the leader. The leader is the catalyst of it. I hope I'm kind of.
No, yeah. Listen, I'm loving it. What would you say is one rule that you use that works in every situation? One rule that works in every situation, and what would you say is the most valuable lesson you've learned in business thus far?
So I handle everything with grace, right? So I think your characteristics is important. Some of the leaders I was up against didn't have the characteristics I had. So I believe handling everything in grace, sticking to your values. I worked in retail when I was younger, and I gained customer service. So my customer service is impeccable. So right now, one of my drivers is out from the daycare. Guess who's doing transportation? Me. Because that's outside of it. So another book is called Competitive Advantage. And if you understand, right, that added on competitive advantage is whatever it is, to me, it's customer service. So as the owner of the daycare, I'm not there every day, but when there's a problem, I step in to fix it. I step in and do the work because I can do the job of everybody at my center. I can clean, I can drive, I can cook, I can do everybody's position. And so my customer service is the parents like, are you dropping them off? I said, I sure am dropping them off, because if I lose you today, I might lose somebody else tomorrow. And if you're going to say anything different about my daycare, you're going to say the owner step ins anytime. And I think that's what's also important. So customer service, right? Knowing every position, knowing everybody's role in that building, in that nonprofit, knowing the roles also helps you to make better decisions,
Yeah.
right? Understanding your target market. So if I close my daycare down, I know my parents are going to be arrayed, they can't pay. So I think those are just some of the things I think is important.
I think that is ultimately something that you have to know when starting a business, when running a business, that if, just like you said, you got to know every position. If somebody decided to walk out tomorrow, it can't fail because we lost this person. I have to then be okay with stepping into this position, and believing in your dream. You birthed this thing. So it's like, this is a growing baby. You watch it in different stages, and you've seen the progress, you've seen the evolution. And as we talk about business and risk management,
Yes.
that's a big thing. What would you say are some of the big risks and some of the tiny risks in business, or believing in yourself, period? Because some people, that's the hump that they can't get over. It's like, I believe, but it might, but they have the but. And I think that the but itself is the problem. But what would you say is, the big risk and the tiny risk?
Not saying the word but. I'm against the word but. I say okay to everything. So I talk to myself in my head a lot because, again, I'm the visionary, but I think not saying but, saying okay, and risk are important. Risk creates results. So I hear people say, slow down, you're doing too much, you're thinking too big. I'm the one back in 2020, brought my family to this 99-cent store and was like, I'm getting this before I even signed the lease. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, I'm getting this. I was having a breakup. I'm glad we're back together. And I needed to do, and I channeled that energy to like, I'm about to take this risk because I need to do something else. And I had kids and didn't know what to do. And then 3 months later, I signed the lease, and I didn't care about COVID, because with COVID comes things. Again, I know we have our feelings, and I don't talk politics, but the funding comes from the government, right? Majority of the funding. So I knew something was going to happen with COVID. So the risk is me saying, are you going to do this? Now I can close my daycare tomorrow. I'm okay. I met my goal inside my head already. Because during COVID, 46% of businesses closed down.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing of taking risks is know your goal, know your limits, who you are, and stick to it. Every day I say I'm closing the daycare. It's driving me crazy, but I know when my limit is going to be reached, and maybe I'm passing the buck. I know what I can do, and until I say I can't do it anymore, but I say okay to everything. You could text me right now and say your building's on fire. I said I'm okay. I say okay, and I'm already at the building.
Mm-hmm.
I'm consulting someone, and like, we don't have any money to give you money right now. I go, okay, we'll figure it out. So saying okay was my coping mechanism, but it helped me to achieve those risks. Risks are important, and risks sometimes have a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
But risk is that leap. I mean, Apple made a risk to do something that was they're the innovators right now. They do that in business. Right? Schools are making the leap to do something different. It's called charter schools. I worked in charter schools, right? They change how you make decisions. Nonprofits are being specific to their community, and businesses are. The best business solves a problem. That's innovation.
Yeah.
The best business, Shark Tank will show you. You solve a problem, you have a business, you have a market. So, if you think of risk as something good and taking a leap, know yourself and go through it. Just to let you know, my social media is there. I talk all the time to people. I am Monica. You can go on there. You'll see my whole life fold, because I have a public Instagram. I want you to know that I like you, and I think that's what's important.
And that makes a difference. As before we got on, I was telling you, I was like, listen, this is just a conversation of us gaining new friendship of, I can gain so much from you, and we all can gain so much from each other, and that we got to get out of the stigma of kind of keeping the information to ourselves.
Yeah, I used to work alone.
Yeah.
I used to work alone. I thought I could do it alone. And then I started talking, and I started communicating. And my other half, he always tell me, like, you need a network. You're trying to do it alone. So now I communicate. I tell people. I tell my story. It's not all good. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs, or I'm vacation. No, I'm trying to figure out the next step. I know when I'm good. So I know when it's celebratory.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm trying to go, to the next. And I think that's what's important for people to know. Build your network. I'm always going to communicate. If it's something new I have, I'm telling everybody, because what's the secret? The secret sauce is me.
Yeah.
So we can run the same business. I'm okay with that because I
Yeah.
know what I have, the team, my legacy, my grace. I know what I have behind me. And I think that's what's important. I never ever compete. That's another thing. There's no competition. Let's do it
Yeah.
together. Let's figure out how we work best and let's ride. So yes, no more gatekeeping. Like, how do you know what other communities and cultures do? They have their own doctors, their own lawyers, they have
Yeah.
everything.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh
they
my.
keep it together. So I'm
Yeah.
saying right now, if we wanted to go somewhere else, do we have someone that owns a daycare, that owns a bank, right? That owns an after school program? Because these are the things that we need to work together. And your business needs a business partner. Community, like, yes, Diana, community is key. So if you have a shoemaking business, who is your business partner? And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a mentor. I'm saying who can bring you complementary clients, right? Who you can learn from, or how you can combine it and develop a business relationship. And I
Yes.
think that's what's important. I'm talking to schools. One time I was at a conference and I was across the way from a CEO of a big nonprofit, and I smiled. And they were like, "Why are you smiling?" I'm like, "Because I'm at the table with you. Nothing
Right.
else matters at this point to me. I
Right.
got to this point, and I can say, I met my goal. What's next?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and yes, Kimberly, we can go further together, more unity. I mean, I bring my families together. We talk. I find the needs of my families, of businesses that I'm consulting. And I feel that anybody in my area that I talk to, if they're not good, um, I'm not good.
Yeah, that support is needed, and it is it's it's so important when building business, and with working together, because without support, just like you said, you might think I can do it or I got it, but it's only one and if you're not good, everything else falls apart.
So
So
someone just said
I,
that they wanted to own a daycare.
mhm.
Who gives you the license to daycare? OCFS. Go online. They give out grants. There's a grant right now that will give you funding to start a new daycare. Now, if I was in competition, I wouldn't give that information, but I can't service the whole world. Go online and you'll see that they're giving out grants to start, because daycare is needed, because the world shifted, during that. And
Yeah.
that's what I want people to know. And another topic, I mean, the people online is right on point. Someone said, shout out to your sister Ty. My sister is younger than me, learned from me, and is now doing better than I did. You know why? Information
Yes.
resources and my flaws she learned from, because I communicate. No more family secrets, no more
Yes.
village and community secrets. I don't want you to fail in the areas that I didn't know. So
Yes.
I'm going to tell you. And she has not worked for anyone since then. I'm the worker.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow you might find me having a full-time job, and they're like, "Why are you working?" So I can learn from them, so I
Yes.
can gain information and resources, and it's fine for me. But that's my role. Now, is that Taisha's role? No. So partner with someone, understanding who you are. Yes, sharing is
Aaron
key.
is caring. Yes.
That's the type of person I am. Like, she won't get a job, but I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna find a job. I'm gonna learn from it. Then I'm gonna measure who I am with them. And yes, find you a mentor. Find somebody to talk to. This is how you sustain. And I can go on and on. So you can have me on. You got me out of my comfort zone now. So.
I told you, I said, listen, ain't no way you're gonna be shy or nervous, because the first time I heard you speak, I said, no, this is amazing information, and it's something that is much needed. And I want to ask you, what is one thing that you feel you owe yourself now? What's one thing you feel you owe yourself later? And what's one thing that you feel you owe yourself one day?
So now I owe myself to be proud of myself, because that's the flip side of it. A lot of insecurities happen. It happens to the best of us, right?
Yeah.
So I owe myself now to really be proud of who I am, and this has
Mhm.
helped me. I've never been on platforms like this. In the future, I want to give myself more grace. I give everybody else grace. I go okay to everybody. I think I
Yes.
want to say okay to myself. And then I think I want to be able to sit back and just look at this. I want to throw a party for myself, do something just to say, wow, because you don't see it when you're on autopilot. So
Yeah.
I think that's some of the things just for myself, because, I would do it for everybody else, but I need to give it back to myself and be proud of myself, and then raise my kids to understand the mother that they have, and my siblings and anybody in my area, because if I'm not good, then they're not good. And I think that's what I want to get to.
Such a blessing, definitely such a blessing. And I would absolutely have to agree with you on autopilot. As just a woman, sometimes, we just take these things on and we go. because it has to get done, and we're going to get it done, and we're going to answer this, and we're going to say yes to that, and we're going to say okay, because that's what we do. So acknowledging the fact that, I have to pour back into me is a great thing, and that just brings awareness to how do I make myself happy? How do you make yourself happy? I mean, I know I could tell that work is your passion, that all the things that you have your hands in, is you're passionate about, and it brings the fire out of you. But what would you say is one thing that ultimately makes you happy?
Results. I like nice things. So I like to buy myself. But I think ultimately it's the connections. I'm a child that came from trauma that loves love. So the connectivity of people, hearing how good I am has helped. I do online therapy now. But I think all these things are so important to build who I am. But, just seeing people being successful actually makes me happy because I went through the struggle. I've cried at night. I've been terminated just because of who I am. So enabling people to be them definitely makes me happy. I'm rich. I'm rich in mind, body, and spirit. I'm not at the dollar amount that I want, but I have time now to really go deep into who I am. So to give that and get it back in return, how the universe decides to give it back, how God graces me and blesses me, has finally made me happy. I can buy whatever I want. I've done it, been there, did it. Any job I've always had. And I think that we need to give ourselves that and connect to people. And that's been helpful. I've been very successful by word of mouth and even things like this. If anybody want to reach out to me, I give what I can. I think my information is below. You can tag me in messages. I'm an open book. So yeah, I'm here.
Absolutely. The comments, the connectivity to the people is happening in the comments. We have Kimberly. She says, I'm a nurse and I'm ready to transition. Looking to connect with you, Queen Monique. You should be so proud of yourself. I've never heard of you until today, which you're phenomenal. And I think that these are things that make the difference, just hopping on a call and hearing somebody new or meeting somebody new. It's like,
in response to Kimberly, I quit my jobs. On paper, I was making 6 figures plus, not including my businesses. Some of them people terminated me, and the others I walked away because they told me I was difficult. Being difficult means I'm smarter. Being difficult, I figured out the process and the system. So don't be afraid to believe in yourself. Money is different. Figure out money. I walked out cold turkey right after I bought a house, and look where I'm at right now. Be able to tell my story. So I think that's very, very important. Is yes, you can look me up. I terminated jobs. I was terminated from jobs, and I didn't let it get the best of me, but I made a transition, as Kimberly is saying, and my degrees just got me to that point, but it didn't make me. And I think that's important. Take the risks and do it.
Yeah. Let me get into some of the questions that we ask all of our guests, just to get some more insight of who you are and a little bit more about you. And I think I already know the answer to this because you already said it earlier, but I got to ask it again for the people. Who is your favorite hip hop artist?
Oh my God, Jay-Z, of course. I have an affinity for Brooklyn, and of course, Jay-Z. If you listen to some of the things he'd say and midline, I mean, the Jay-Z. That's all I can tell you. Yes. Jay-Z is, and look at his portfolio now and where he's at and how he handled things. Is him and 50 Cent are the exact model of where we need to be. Yeah.
Yes, Jay has given us the blueprint from the very beginning to now, and just to see his growth is like anything. Just like you said, anything is possible. The impossible is possible.
Yes.
There's no limits, no limitation to what you can dream. Once you can vision it, it's done. It's done. That's the big part right there. Just believing. If you believe, you're already halfway there. So I absolutely agree. Jay is my guy. I'm going to ask you, what does Kwanzaa mean to you? What is Kwanzaa for you?
Well, as a profession, it's something that I would love to see on the organization's calendar. I'd love to see how it's observed nationally, workplace. Yeah. But Kwanzaa is a celebration of culture for me. Mm-hmm. It's like a direct reflection of where I need to be in life. And it happens at a good time right before the new year for me.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Juneteenth coming up. We're here on Juneteenth NYC platform. Of course, I have to ask you, what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Freedom, celebration, culminating activities. I'm actually part of Juneteenth board.
Come on now.
I mean, now it's a holiday. Okay. So, we get the time off. We don't have to juggle between. So we're getting there. And yeah, that's what it means.
Okay. Okay. What do you want the community? So many gems today, so many
I hope I didn't overwhelm people.
valuable lessons, so many valuable key points that you, like I said, I can't wait to play it back because I have so much to write down, so many notes to take. But what do you want the community to take away from today's session?
Understanding the definition of sustainability and what
Yes.
that means and how you can apply yourself to that. Becoming more transactional, less emotional and feelings. So my okay covers me or being okay, I'm gonna get it together, but transactional. Having the characteristics of a risk taker as a leader, having what we call a BHAG in business, big audacious goals,
Mm-hmm.
and backwards designing to get to those goals are steps and how you step it out, right? And I think that is, who do you want to be? If you want to be a homeowner, take yourself to every step to being a homeowner. So I think those things is what I want to give back. And the resources and information is there. If you don't have it, please connect with me. I will give you in one line where you can go, and then we'll talk again. But that's just me. Yes.
And the last question that I'm going to ask, because I feel like you offer so much. What will Monique Powell legacy be when it's all said and done? What will your legacy be? What would
Oh,
you want it to be? And
wow. Of showing, believing, showing that you can come from one to the end, that
yes,
just taking the risk, understanding yourself, making these moves. My legacy would be the things I've created, the relationships that I built. I forgot to add that relationship building is okay.
yeah.
People asking how to reach me. I am Monica. I can't give my phone number live, but the information is there. But my legacy, my daughter and my son is growing up, and I need a better world for them. I need them to see the struggles that I did make and what came out of it so that they are believers. Our children need to know that these things can happen. Resources are being taken from them. So my legacy is everyone that I've touched, that I communicated, that I had a relationship with, believed in it and see it grow. Every presidential accomplishment happens after their term. And I want that to show so that I could sit back and smile and have a big party and everybody could be there. But that's what my legacy would be. That's it.
Listen, I gotta tell you, I'm excited for you. Whenever this happens, whenever the party is, just call me DJ MBG. I
DJ,
got
yes, someone said
that's
that.
that's one of my hats, of course. But you gave such great insight on business, on just growing today, and I thank you for that. I thank you for being transparent with your information, with who you are. It comes across as, just like as you said. Your personality speaks value. I could tell that you're a giver. You want to help. You're going to help. So thank you, because we need that absolutely. Please tell the people again where they could find you, where they could catch you, anything that you have coming up. You
Oh
know,
my God. Yeah. I
all the-
mean, you could go on my daycare. It's called the Cloud Center. You can go
yes.
on the Instagram. You can go on my personal Instagram. I am Monica. My sister is here. Hi, Taisha. Thank you. That's the support. So you can go on Taisha's page. But you could find me on social networks. You can leave me a message. I will respond because I'm here. And I'm part of Juneteenth, so you will see me there. So same principles. But I'm around, and thank you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm here.
Listen, tap in, okay? Tap in. Her information is at the bottom. We got Taisha. She says she's so proud of you. Diana says blessings for all the best in the future. Kimberly says she just followed you. Thank you. Let me see some of these other comments before we get out of here. Gigi said a leap of faith. It's just, so much that you shared with us today that is affecting the people. So the connectivity in the community is rising, and we thank you again for that. Until next time, let's do this again. Like, don't hesitate to drop a call. Let us know when you're ready to come back.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm here. Oh, hi, TCA. Look at my old student logging. I'm telling you, like, it's great. God is good. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'll be back anytime you need me or anything. Like, I'm here.
Yes.
You can't get rid of me now. So that's it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. This is what we need. This is what we need. This is what we need. Before we get out of here, let me just bring this to your attention. Earlier, we talked about utilizing free resources and workshops to boost your business. Speaking of free resources, Juneteenth NYC, Athena, she is offering a social media management workshop. Okay, this is going to happen January 30th at 6 p.m. All you have to do is drop a DM at our on our Instagram page, Juneteenth NY. Okay, and you can register. You want to be a part of this. I'm going to be in that session, so you need to be in that session as well. I got to thank everybody that tuned in today. This was, again, a lack for words because I don't want to just keep saying amazing, but this was super dope. And I thank you again, Monique, for everything that you dropped today. I hope that everybody that watched this found it as innovative and uplifting as we did. Don't forget to mark your calendars next week, same time, same place. I will be here. Be sure to check out our website. Again, like I said, if you're a vendor, those early bird specials for the vendor registration for the Juneteenth celebration is up, okay? And it's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss that. And while you're at it, make sure you add our social medias. They are going to put Monique's social media back up. My social media is Forever MBG. That's Forever, the entire word, A-M-B-I-G. And you can check out my brand, I Had a Praying Grandmother, okay? I got to get you my book too, Monique, because you're talking about key books. I wrote down the books that you got, but we got to get you one of my books, I Had a Praying Grandmother, to definitely, build and tap into that. Until next time, next week, same time, same place. Kiara, aka MBG. This was a great session. I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Lunch and Learn.
E is exhaling, having an opportunity to breathe, to rest, to refill yourself and rejuvenate yourself because no one can pour from an empty cup.
As you evolve and become more of yourself, you begin to attract the people that are there for you.
Amen.
So everything you need is in the space.
You have to learn from your mistakes. Once you make a mistake, sit down, recoup, and then start over. And once you do that, you say, I got that.
See, Juneteenth means to me, I would definitely say empowerment and education.
When I experienced it, like just coming together and, being a part of something bigger than myself, and
A new start, starting a new chapter, opportunity, new beginnings, all of that.